Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for logging on to part four in the speaker series with Louise Persichetti, Health and Wellness with COVID. Prior to getting started, we'd ask that everyone please mute their microphones and feel free to ask questions in the sidebar, or if you're so inclined, during the Q&A at the end of the presentation. Today's presentation concludes a large volume of information from previous weeks with highlights such as the human brain and its response to stress, interrupting the stress response, making health a priority with items such as exercise, immunity, and play, manifestation, choice, gratitude, and additional support items. So to conclude Tecsar Engineering's November Continuous Improvement theme, we do have an exciting health and wellness announcement coming on Monday for Tecsar employees. So stay tuned for that, but without further ado, Laura, thank you so much for your efforts and all of the great information you presented over the course of the month, and we really do appreciate it. Enjoy, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, greetings and welcome back. This is the fourth week, final week. I just wanted to say it has been an absolute honor and pleasure to be able to connect with everybody virtually. I know that it has been a very stressful time collectively for people this year, and so collecting any tools, insights, and perspectives that you can during this time is so important. And I hope that you've been able to pull away some different insights and maybe some gentle reminders of things that you already know and perhaps maybe has been put on the back burner. I do want to go over a few of the highlights of the past few weeks just as a review and go into a few other details as well. So as a review, we have talked about the brain and the power of the brain and how it is always working for us. And the brain receives information, and sometimes that information that we perceive as stressful gives the brain a very important job to do, which is called the stress response. So when you perceive something as stressful, the brain is taking that in as this is a threat, therefore I need to go into fight or flight mode. And so the stress response is, a chemical reaction that goes through the brain and then sends indicators through the body. And as you know from the first week, we really went into this. And if you haven't explored that, I know that there are links to be able to re-listen to some of this information because it really never does get old. It's always very helpful to go back to. And this idea of the fight or flight is very real. Fight is, big, loud, maybe throw things, say things that you might not necessarily think about later as like, oh, I don't know why I said that. I should have said it this way. And then of course, flight, we think of flight as running for your life in terms of the stress response. But flight in this case can be to run, to quit, to check out, to freeze. And part of that freeze is a checkout too. So I've noticed that a lot of people dealing with stress right now seem like, oh, everything's fine. But like we really look, they're just kind of not really here. People aren't really grounded. They're not really present. They're kind of checked out in their mind or checked out in, anything that can pull them from here and now. So a lot of people have been relying on, substances like drugs or alcohol or just, binge watching or binge eating and all of these things that, yeah, it totally helps with stress, but it definitely doesn't help with overall health and wellness. And it's important to be able to implement tools that help with health and wellness. So what you perceive as stress matters. We've talked about that. Some people might look at work and say, oh, work is something that stresses me out. Whereas other people might look at work and say, oh, you know what? Work is my outlet to stress. Now, with this stress response, we have 10 seconds before the stress response kicks in. And within that 10 seconds, there are different tools that you can implement. We've talked about breathing, we talked about self-talk, we talked about even just simple movement from sitting in a chair to standing up or taking a drink of water can be something that interrupts that 10 seconds. Even if you think, oh, I know I have 10 seconds, like what can I implement in my 10 seconds? even that thought alone can interrupt the 10 seconds. And then of course, after we might miss the 10 seconds, that happens, and that stress response kicks in, it takes 6 hours before everything can come back to balance. And this was a big piece in the first week around, if you're stressed with something in the morning, then something happens in the afternoon, and then you hear some information from your family, and then, you know, there's a lineup at the grocery store, and then there's like one stressor after another throughout the day. It's quite evident that we never really relax from the state of being stressed. So all of this creates an impact mentally, emotionally, physically, and these things add up. So we want to be radically honest about stress and its impact on us, of course, because when we're radically honest about the stress, then we will take the techniques to reduce stress more seriously. And it won't just seem like, oh, exercise and take care of yourself, or meditate, or do yoga, or go for your run, or all of these things. It's kind of like, yeah. But when you can actually see the benefits and why we do those things, it's not just, you know, to look good or to be able to fit in your favorite jeans. Like there's more to wellness than the surface. You know, overall wellness and supporting our brain and body can help us function at a very high level. And that's kind of the direction I wanted to take today. So before going in that direction, just reminders. Make health a priority. Make health a priority. You know, not everybody likes to run. That's okay. Do something you do like to do. Maybe you like to bike ride. Maybe you like to go for walks. Maybe you're more of a treadmill person. Maybe you like rowing. Maybe you like skipping with the jump rope. You know, whatever it is, do whatever it is, as long as there's some kind of movement or exercise. Because as you know from the first week, that endorphin release can really help with stress reduction, having some kind of physical outlet. And then of course, creative projects can be very helpful, especially going into the winter months. I've been working with a group of people this past month. It was another 4-week series, but it was focused on really getting clear on what you want to do with your winter months, and generating a focus and an energy towards that, rather than just meandering through, trying to get through December, January, February, March in Canada when you can't even go places and they're just kind of restraint. Instead of looking at it like this is a time that's going to be a challenge, which, you know, for many people it will be, to take that challenging time and turn it into something else. You know, if we are called to stay home, you know, thankfully in Sarnia we don't have any lockdowns, but there's other areas that I work in, like Toronto and Peel and different areas where they're in a lockdown right now. And that can be stressful because you don't have your regular lifestyle, but at the same time, it can direct you to focus on other areas of your life. So in these winter months, why not make health and wellness a priority? Why not get into a routine where it's about your physical body, your mental, emotional state, and, you know, bring that into your whole family? Because if you implement these practices, they are going to help your partner. They're going to help your kids. They're going to help the people in your world, because people learn more by watching what you do. So if you're a parent, for example, you could say whatever you want to your kids, but at the end of the day, they're constantly watching you, and that's where they're learning. So if you tell them to take a deep breath and to, you know, practice something that helps them de-stress, and you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, it's very different than if you're actually implementing the practices as well. And then when you do say it, it becomes affirmation to what you're already showing them. So these are just little things that make a huge difference. And if you want to rise above during these winter months, you could really focus on health and wellness. And then you could do some creative projects, you know, do something you've always wanted to learn, or pick up an instrument, or maybe you want to renovate that room that you've been talking about. Whatever it is, consciously decide how you want to go into winter versus just go through the motions and try to muster through the motions. Of course, incorporate play and fun. You know, laughter is a huge outlet to stress. Laughter is a huge outlet in general. Sometimes we're building a lot of emotion or building a lot of stress, and when we can laugh with a movie or laugh with someone that, you know, makes us laugh till our belly hurts, or we just watch funny videos, whatever it is, allow yourself that joy and that connection to laughter, because it's a huge outlet. And it's, you know, it's much more joyous to have an outlet of laughter than, you know, sometimes we just need a good cry too. That's an outlet as well. So coming up with some fun things for you and your household, whether that's you live with your family or you live on your own, consciously choosing how you want to spend the winter time, it can be very powerful. And of course, it's a great time to focus on your immunity and building your immunity system. I talked about some minor health things last week about just small little things that can make a huge difference. You know, drinking lots of water, let that be a reminder too. In the wintertime, we don't get the same reminders to drink water as when we're hot and out in the summertime. You know, the reminders are different. We get chapped lips, dry skin. Some people experience headaches or just a fogginess and inability to think clearly. A lot of that can be connected to dehydration. And getting sick and colds and stuff like that can also be connected to dehydration. So let's dot some I's and cross some T's with some of this stuff as a way to prevent some illnesses and sickness, instead of having to go backwards where once we get sick, then we have to try and figure out how to get better. But if we put in preventative measures, it can go a long way. And actually just a little thing that I didn't talk about last week when it comes to like simple things that you can do. There are these, there's a spice, it's called a clove. It's like these little black things. They are so powerful when it comes to having a sore throat or even just a little scratchy throat or sinuses or anything like that. Putting one of those in your mouth and just sucking on it and allowing the juice to, you know, usually I'll keep it underneath. I actually have one in my mouth right now, underneath my tongue where the juice can go into the bloodstream. That can be extremely helpful to reducing any cold symptoms, helps with sinuses, helps with sore throat. And it's just something super simple and easy. Very inexpensive to just go grab some cloves and have them on hand in your medicine cabinet or in your spice cabinet, wherever you want to put them. But these small little things can make a huge difference. And that's really what I want to emphasize is, you know, when we talk about stress, stress can be so big, it can be a huge storm. And especially when the stress outside of us seems like it's something that we can't control. You know, we can't control the government decisions on COVID. We can't control how other people are behaving. We can't control the outside world, but we can definitely control what we think about it, how we respond to it, and what we're choosing to put our energy and focus on. And that's really where I want to go with today. So when you take care of your brain and you take care of your body and you implement some of this stuff, then what? Then what? If you can master this and you can at least, you know, put it into practice, then what? So there's a simple concept that energy will flow where focus goes. So what have you been focusing on? What have you been focusing on? Many people focus on things to worry about. Many people focus on things to worry about. And so when your brain is focused on something of the future that you're worried about, that will generate anxiety. And if your brain is focused on something maybe you're worried about that happened in the past, or, you know, things aren't the way that they used to be in the past or whatever, then it starts to generate depression. And so wherever you direct your focus, it will generate an energy towards that. So I think I've told you in the previous week that I'm doing this kids program. It's called The Alternative. And this week I had my co-teacher zoomed in instead of was there in person. And so I had her projected on the wall and she was playing the main character. And then I had one of the kids on the left side and one of the kids on the right side. And they created these characters there was like Mean Murray, which is the inner critic in the mind. And then there was my best friend, which was the inner cheerleader. And so these kids were, you know, talking back and forth to my coworker, Jen, who was on the projector screen over these different scenarios. So Mean Murray is like, oh, don't do it. You should, I can't, like, you know, you really should be careful and like, don't be this. And like that inner, like, oh, that everyone's going to laugh or that's so stupid. Like the inner critic voice. And then the other inner cheerleader was like, oh, you can do it, like it's fine. And both of these thoughts were coming in, and this dialogue. And then there was the person in the middle. And the person in the middle was taking all of these thoughts in, but they had to choose which one to listen to. And so when we're wrapped up in our head and we're thinking and thinking and thinking, we forget that we aren't our thoughts. We are not our thoughts. We experience them, of course, and sometimes they're extremely loud and extremely influential, but we are not our thoughts. We have to become aware of the direction our thoughts are going, because when we focus on certain thoughts, it will generate a certain energy, it will generate a certain feeling in us, and then that will determine different actions that we take. So let's think of something like, let's say you make a decision. Okay, you know what? Winter months, I'm going to wake up 30 minutes earlier than I normally do, and I am going to do some stretches. I'm going to take some time with my physical body, maybe do a little bit of cardio, but I'm really going to focus on stretching my body and moving the blood flow first thing in the morning. Okay, you made the decision. This is what you're going to do. And then the alarm clock goes off 30 minutes early, and you hit snooze. But internally, you've got a dialogue going on. The voice that says, you know what, you said you were going to do this, you really want to work on your physical body, like get out of bed, it's super easy, just start doing some stretches. And then you have the other voice, well, like I went to bed a little bit late, like maybe I should just take the extra 20 minutes and sleep. Then you have the other voice, no, like you get up, like you said you wanted to do this, you're going to feel so much better once you get up and try. Yeah, but like I have a long day ahead of me, I really should just sleep. So we're constantly battling this internal dialogue, and I'm just saying that there's two, but I think they kind of put on different hats and say different things depending on the circumstances. We're constantly in this battle within ourselves. And we have to remember that we are neither of these things. We're just simply observing these, and we are consciously in a place of choice. We can choose which one to listen to. We can choose where to put our focus. And when we start to manage the physiological aspect of our brain, where we start to reduce the stress response, then we can start to direct our brain into a certain direction. So our brain is immensely powerful. The energy of the brain can actually light up a whole city. Like, that's incredible to me. But we focus on small, minute things all the time. Oh, they didn't fold the towel right. Oh, my favorite mug is gone. Oh, somebody walked through the house with their shoes on. Oh, this person cut me off. Oh, I'm waiting in line at Tim Hortons. Oh, and we're just constantly putting the power of the brain and focus of the brain on these small things that generate, irritation, generate frustration, generate, a space to complain, a space to feel down in some way. And so we want to start paying attention to our mood, because our mood does matter, and our mood affects our relationships, it affects our work, it affects our productivity, it affects how we reach our goals, or if we don't reach our goals, it affects every area of our life. And we often think that it's because of everything else. I'm in a bad mood because of what's going on at work. I'm in a bad mood because I had to go to the store and there was a lineup. I'm in a bad mood because I woke up late. I'm in a bad mood because blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, these things aren't pleasant, all right? Whatever. There's things that stress us out, of course. Not everything is peaches and rainbows and cotton candy in life. If you haven't figured that out yet, let me be the one to tell you, not everything's amazing in this world. It's hard. Nobody said it was going to be easy. However, you need to remember that you are a powerful creator of your life, and when you start to manage your stress and manage your brain and where you're focusing, you can really start to create some remarkable things in your life. And so imagination is so important, and everybody is using their imagination. We always think of these quotes. Sometimes they're overused, so they lose their essence, but it's true. If you can think it, you can create it. When you set your mind in motion, everything will follow suit. When you set your mind to it, you can make it happen. All of these, fancy quotes we see on Instagram or Facebook pages or whatever it is, t-shirts now, it has truth. but we have to actually implement that truth. So people who worry actually have amazing imaginations, because they can imagine worst case scenario, like this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and if that happens, then all of this is going to happen, and they just completely paint the whole picture as to why they should be worried about whatever they're worried about. It's in fine detail. If we can just switch the use of our imagination instead of on what we're worried about, but instead towards what we want to create, and we start to visualize, okay, this is how I want to spend my winter months. I want to create joy and laughter and good health. I want to connect with people in my family, and I want to, have special phone calls with people and quality time, or I want to finish renovating that room, or I want to, change the house in this way, whatever it is, using your imagination towards what you want to create. But the problem is, well, the reality is, in life, you have likely looked forward to something, and you have likely experienced disappointment. Maybe disappointment in other people, maybe disappointment in situations where you really looked forward to something, it didn't happen the way that you wanted, and so you've developed this maybe fear towards imagining best case scenario. Well, I don't want to imagine best case scenario because I don't want to get disappointed. Or I don't want to think like that it's going to be this way, because then if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be upset. We want to use our imagination to create the best case scenario in our mind, and to visualize and feel and experience it within our mind's eye, and not be attached to the outcome. To imagine best case scenario and trust the flow of it unfolding. Because sometimes we have an imagination towards something. Let's say, okay, I don't know, you're a single man or woman out there, and you imagine what your partner, future life partner, is going to be, and they're going to have this, and they're going to look like that, and they're going to be good at this, and all of the things. And then you meet somebody and they don't fit in that box. Then it's like, well, I don't even want to engage with that person because they don't fit into the box. Or if you actually do engage with that person, they might bring you things you didn't even think to implement into your imagination. They might bring in other pieces that you're like, oh my God, it's even better than I imagined. We want to start to open ourselves up to that again. This requires us to do a level of healing on the things that maybe created these disappointments in the past. We need to heal and shed away some layers so that we can engage in hope again, engage in life again, engage in joy again, and to imagine with no apology, no expectation, no, attachment. So like, think about kids, maybe you have your own kids, maybe you have some nieces and nephews, maybe your friends have kids. Kids, when they write a letter to Santa Claus, they don't put anything on that. And I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and they get excited. And then Christmas comes and they don't get half of that stuff. They're still excited. They're still excited. Do you realize that? But like, where did that go, that joy in creating the list? Where did that go? What happened to that? And what happened to just the mere joy of Christmas or holidays, whatever it is, whatever you celebrate, it doesn't matter. It could be a birthday. Maybe I want this for my birthday. I want this for my birthday. And then just the mere joy of celebrating your birthday. Why do we have to battle this part of us, that inner critic that is like stopping us from stepping into our imagination? We've developed neural pathways in our brain that are go-to for worry, go-to for anxiety, go-to for depression, go-to for being miserable. That's a highway. And so what I'm suggesting is that we get off that highway and start creating some new roads in our brain. So this isn't just, fluffy, airy, metaphysical, let's talk about fairies and elves and all. I'm talking about life here. I'm talking about science. I'm talking about your brain and how you've been utilizing your brain. And if you decide to shift gears, you can utilize it in another direction that will actually bring you joy and help you create your life. So, manifestation. Think it, feel it, create it. What is manifestation? So, believe it or not, you are a creator. You are a creator of your life. You're a creator of your circumstances. And whether or not you like your circumstances, it's important for you to take responsibility of what your circumstances are, because you have created them. And we are manifesting all the time. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're manifesting. And so we hear time and time again, if you set your mind to something, you can make it happen. And I guarantee that you've done this in the past. So you need to ask yourself, when is the last time you've applied this? Was it school? Was it your job? Was it a relationship? Was it a car? Maybe getting the house that you have, or even a dog? You know, what have you thought in your mind, this is what I want to do, and you've implemented whatever it is you needed to do in order to make that happen for yourself? When's the last time you did that? Consciously, because you're doing it already and you're doing it all the time, but when's the last time you've consciously done that? Maybe it was a trip. You want to go to this place, and so you started saving money and you started looking up the things you could do there, and you started planning the trip, and then you went on this trip and you got to see this place that you've always wanted to see. Or maybe you've always wanted to be an engineer, and so you went to school and you applied for jobs, and maybe you're an intern first, and maybe you had crappy jobs first so that you could work your way to a certain place. And whatever it is, I guarantee you've done this in some area of your life already. And we want to tap back into that, because it is a choice. It is a choice. And you get to choose. Do you want to be miserable, or do you want to be joyful? And I'm very, very aware and sensitive to the fact that life's really hard right now. And there is a lot of circumstances going on that are extremely challenging. And you still have choice. You still have choice. And I'm not putting down the challenges. I'm very aware that there's challenges, and I'm not trying to downplay them. But I'm saying within these challenges, step back into your power. Step back into your ability to control, to choose, to live your life the way that you want to live it. And yeah, even within your workplace, sometimes you got work, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's busy, sometimes it's not. This is life. This is life. And instead of allowing it to throw you under and to throw you off, just learn to ride this wave that we've talked about in other weeks. Like, learn to be in joy. And if you're not in joy, and I understand that that's most people, so if you're not living in that place of joy, let's go deeper. What's going on? What kind of healing or growth can you do within this? If your mind and your brain has been focused on all of the shortcomings and all of the things to complain about and all of the problems in the world, and you're just focused on that, it generates a lot of junk, pain, sadness, depression, and I'm speaking to this, and I'm speaking to it passionately because I know we are in hard times. And I know this winter is going to be even harder for people. Like, let's be real. Suicide rates are high. Overdose is high. Alcoholism is high. Mental illness is high. All of these things are high because it is a challenging time. So I'm not sitting here to be positive Pam in your world and be like, just look on the bright side. I'm not talking bright side. I'm talking step into your power and make a conscious choice. How do you want to move through these challenges? Do you want to rise above them? Do you want to become stronger? Do you want to implement some of the greatest times in your life during this? Or do you want to drown? And when you make that choice, you have to recognize that you're a leader in your world. That choice affects your family, affects your partners, affects your kids, affects your workplace, affects your parents, affects your extended family, affects your friends. It affects the store clerk that you come across, or the person at Tim Hortons or Starbucks or wherever it is you go. The way you show up in the world makes a difference. It makes ripples. And I'm sure you've seen people out there that are just like miserable and angry and frustrated in how they show up in the world. They snap, they lose it on people, they blow up out of, see it all the time. that on edge temper, and that, you know, I don't look at it from a place of judgment. I actually have a lot of compassion because I know that there's so much stress. Just build. And this is why every single week I'm talking about this, like, you know, snap back, come back, implement the things that bring you joy, implement the things that are going to help release that stress, and choose that for yourself. Don't think that your life is happening, you know, to you. Your life is happening from you. Talked about it last week, I think, you know, as within, so without. These are metaphysical concepts, as within, so without. So if you don't like what's going on around you in your world, go inside. Start looking at what you can control, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your behaviors, your actions. And so in order to do that, you really have to start to think of all of these things as your gauges. Okay, so when you're driving your car, you know, you keep an eye on the gas tank. If it's getting low, you might put some gas in the car. You have to keep an eye on your speed. You're keeping an eye on your dashboard. And you're driving your car in the direction in which you want to go. So in life, we have to decide, where do we want to go? Which direction do we want to take? You know what, if you want to go towards joy, or you want to go towards, you know, creating a certain lifestyle, or having a certain home, or a certain partnership, or a certain relationship, whatever it is, that's the direction you want to drive. And so those two front tires, have you ever seen like remote control cars? It's just the front tires that turn. When you turn the wheel or you change the remote, it's just the two front tires that turn. So if you want to imagine that, the things that turn your tires are your thoughts. So what you're focused on. Where are your thoughts? If you think, I can't do it, oh, this is going to be a horrible winter, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, it sucks, I can't go to Mexico, you're going to generate a certain type of emotion behind that. That's going to take you in a certain direction. But if you think, okay, so you know what, I'm going to start focusing on my health this winter, I'm going to implement some things that I've been wanting to do and I just haven't made time for, or I'm going to, you know, fix that room up that I've been wanting to fix up, or I'm going to really spend quality time with my family and take out the board games, or whatever it is, you're going to turn your wheel in that direction, and therefore you'll go in that direction. So whatever you focus on, right? Where energy flows, where focus goes. Wherever you're going to focus, that's the direction in which you're going to go. And so you have the one tire that's on your thoughts, and then your other tire is on your actions. What actions do you take? So yeah, I might want good health, but am I actually going to wake up 30 minutes early to go and do my stretches or my exercises? I might want a good relationship, but am I actually going to take some time to do some small acts of kindness for my partner, or, you know, see what my partner needs to support them? I might want to have a nice clean house, but am I actually going to, you know, vacuum and dust on Saturday, or am I just going to watch all my favorite Netflix shows? So our actions and our focus, like our thoughts, will determine the direction of the car. Now our back wheels are our emotions. So a lot of people get lost in emotion, and I know this was an area that people were curious about, emotional regulation and balancing the emotions. We want to look at our emotions as information. This is part of our gauges. You know, if you're miserable, or you're depressed, or you're anxious, and that's what your gauge is showing you, maybe the gauge is down, it's in low vibration feelings, and you want to get to maybe joy, love, peace, whatever it is, you need to shift where your thoughts are, and you need to shift where your actions are in order to shift those feelings. The back tires follow the front. So if you're noticing that your emotions are low, or you're, you know, down in the dumps, that sort of thing, then you need to look at, what have I been focusing on? What have I been thinking about? Oh yeah, like, I've been worried all day about, you know, how am I going to pay this bill? I've been worried all day about how am I going to cover Christmas this year? Of course I feel anxious or overwhelmed or stressed, because that's all I've been thinking about. So the circumstance has changed, nothing has changed, but your thoughts changed. And so you're utilizing the brain, the imagination, the mind to focus on something you're stressed about, and that generates the anxiety, the overwhelm, the depression. And this is something that's really important because, you know, I just want to remind you, I'm a registered psychotherapist. So I understand mental health. Okay, I'm not going to bash mental health, but I am going to say that unfortunately, mental health today has created a hat or a mask or an identity. You've been diagnosed with anxiety. That's who I am. I have anxiety. This is who I am. You've been diagnosed with depression. It's who I am. I have depression, you know, it's just who I am. These are experiences, but it doesn't define who you are. Every day I help people conquer anxiety, conquer depression, conquer the battle within the mind of all of these, you know, stressful places and dark places that our mind can go to. And if we're not conscious of where our thoughts and focus are at, you know, and we just meander, our thoughts can take us down into a dark hole. And when we're in that dark hole, it's very hard to see anything outside of it. You know, and when we can't see outside of it, there's no way out. This is where, you know, suicidal thoughts come in. People don't want to commit suicide. They just want the pain to end. And when they're in that space, they can't see any way out of it other than to end it themselves because there's no light at the end of the tunnel. And I just want to remind you that if you are struggling with this, if you are fighting this internal battle, let this be a reminder of hope for you, that you can get through this, that you are powerful, you have control. You just don't necessarily have the tools or the understanding behind it, and you can learn those things. You can develop those skills. You can start to create new neural pathways in your brain to help you focus your way out of the dark hole. The dark hole does not have to be your life. The dark hole does not have to be your reality. It might be your reality now because this is what you're experiencing, and I want to honor what you're experiencing, but it doesn't have to be that way. You want to start watching your gauges and recognizing that you're the driver. And so if your emotions are low, that you can do something to raise them up. If your focus is off, that you can do something to shift focus. And so our two front wheels are the focus and the actions, and the back wheels are emotions and behaviors. You know, so when you are behaviors and results. So if you are focused on good health and you're taking actions, maybe you wake up 30 minutes early, you're doing some exercises, maybe you are drinking more water, maybe you decide to eat one meal that's a salad once a day, or maybe you decide to juice your breakfast, or you're implementing certain actions that are going to support the direction you want to go, which is good health. Well, then your back wheels are going to start to follow suit. You're going to start to feel better. You're going to start to feel more energized. And once you get into that momentum of these, you know, good habits, then you're going to start to want to do more of them, and you're going to start to see results. You're going to realize, oh wow, I have more energy. You're going to realize, oh wow, I feel better about myself. I feel more confident, or I feel more joy, and it's going to start to create a momentum in that direction where all four of your tires start to go in the same way. So you are not your emotions, you are not your thoughts. You're the driver of all of this, and you need to start to become aware of your gauges. And when your gas tank is low, you need to put fuel in your car. So implementing these small things over the past 3 weeks that I've talked about, you know, exercise, creative projects, things that you enjoy, maybe it's reading, maybe it's writing, maybe it's instruments, all the self-care is putting gas in the tank. And I don't know about you, but have you noticed in real life when you put gas in your car, if you wait till it's on empty, it's more expensive to fill up your tank. It's the same with our emotional, mental, spiritual tank, meaning it takes a lot more work to fill up the tank if you wait till it's on empty. So if you go and 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 you don't do any self-care, it's just constantly give to everybody else, do all of the things for everyone else, and all, you know, work, and you don't put any gas in your tank, first of all, what's going to happen? You're going to find yourself at the side of the road. And then you're going to have to start walking or hitchhiking to go get gas. So it's a lot harder to fill up your tank. But if we fill up our tank on a daily basis and we put, you know, gas in the car, we, you know, maybe that first hour of our day is dedicated to what that fuel looks like for us. Maybe it's exercise, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's reading or writing or learning something, maybe it's completing a task that we want to do. All of that stuff fills up our tank and we can go the distance. We can drive farther in the direction that we want to go. But if we're not paying attention to these gauges and we just go, we're going to burn out. This is what happens. They have no idea how many clients I see that are completely burnt out. A lot of times it comes through illness or diagnosis of cancer or just complete stress, diagnosis of depression or anxiety, all of these things. And all of that stuff gives us information as to how we've been driving the car. And when you've waited till you're completely on empty, it's a lot harder to fill up the tank. You have to do a lot more self-care. But if self-care becomes part of your day, it's that daily maintenance. You know, and this is, you know, maintenance in the car. We change the oil, we wash the car, we clean the car inside. Hopefully, sometimes we don't, but these are maintenance things that we can keep our car driving in the direction we want to go. This physical body is like a vehicle. And part of the vehicle is the brain, is the physical aspect to it, our mind and our emotions, all of that, even though we don't see some of that, it's a part of our existence. You know, so like I said, I'm a registered psychotherapist, but I'm also, I work on very deeply on energy healing. And we know the body, bones, skin, we know the organs, we know we brush our teeth, we comb our hair, we wash our body. This physical body, we know, we've been taught about it. But around the body is our energy structure. And within our energy, we hold our emotions, we hold, you know, different experiences within our energy field. And, you know, not a lot of people see the energy field so that they think, oh, it doesn't exist. But lots of things exist that we don't see. Our breath exists, clearly, it gives us life. The wind, we don't see the wind, but that exists. We feel emotions, we don't see them, but we know they exist. And so there's a lot of our existence that we just don't talk about and we don't acknowledge that actually exists. And that's part of our energy structure. You know, that's why I love doing, you know, energy balance or energy clearing sessions for people, because it creates so much clarity and helps us just like, oh, you know, it's like when you have a nice hot shower, you feel so much better after because you just cleanse the physical body, and part of that is the energy body. But when you receive an energy session, you do that cleansing on that other level, and it helps the mind, it helps the emotions, it helps on multiple layers. And so we want to become aware of our whole existence. We want to become aware of this car that we're driving. We want to become aware of which direction we want to go and what we're focusing on, whatever our thoughts are, and how do we want to move through life. And it's important to understand that you're not alone. We all need somebody in our corner, and we have to be radically honest with where we are and where we want to go, and to make it a priority, ask for help when we need it, and to reach out for that help. Now, there's a really powerful key that I haven't talked about that I really want to anchor in, and that key is gratitude. So the best attitude is gratitude. Now, gratitude, I remember when I was first teaching this to a group of kids, they were 5 and 6, and I asked them if they knew what gratitude was. And, oh no, I asked them to share something that they're grateful for. And one of them asked, well, what does it mean? What's gratitude? What does it mean to, like, what does that even mean? And I had to like really sit with it and think, oh, like, how do you even explain that? And I realized it's about noticing what's good in your life, noticing the blessings, acknowledging the blessings in your life. And so this is how we dive into creating new neural pathways in our brain. Because especially in the school system, we are programmed to notice where we fall short. If you got 97% on a test, the first thing you're going to do is, what did I get wrong? Where did that 3% go? You don't look at the 97 questions you got right. You look at, where did you go wrong? So we're programmed to focus on that. we're programmed to think we need something outside of ourselves to be happy. We need something else to be skinny. We need something to bring us relationships or joy. Constantly being programmed in that way. So gratitude helps us to create new neural pathways in our brain that help us to notice what's good, to acknowledge the blessings, to acknowledge what's good. And when we're generating our focus towards that, it creates a certain energy, a certain flow, a certain emotion. And then when we generate that emotion, we start to create that energy, and like attracts like, and we start to create more of that in our lives. So it's not just about what are you thankful for? What are you thankful for and why? So if I could suggest anything for this winter, it would be like, create a gratitude journal. Write a list of 10 things every day. I'm thankful for this because. I'm thankful for this because. Because I can be like, oh, I'm thankful for my parents. I'm thankful for the trees. I'm thankful for water. But when I actually think, I'm thankful for water because there's so many places in the world that they have to actually travel kilometers to get water, and I just turn on a tap. And I really think about that. It creates more of an emotion behind it, and it can be very, very powerful. So I really wanted to open that up to you and really plant the seed of gratitude and being able to implement that in your life. So you can decide where you want to focus. And, you know, driving in a car, race car drivers, if they focus on the wall as they turn, they're going to slam into that wall. It's just the way it goes. So you want to be focused on what you want to create. Set your mind in motion towards what you want to create. This means you need to ditch the negativity. That can be challenging, but it is possible. And you want to have the right supports for yourself. You know, if you want to work on nutrition, you go to a nutritionist or a naturopath. If you want to work on finances, talk to someone who has money. Because people who don't have money have lots of opinions about it, but they've actually haven't implemented anything to create abundance in their life. So why would you talk to someone who is scrounging for the next dollar or in debt to get advice from them about money? You want to go to someone who actually has money and receive that guidance. If you need mental, emotional support, go to someone who's living that way that can support you. Make sure you reach out and ask for help. Ask for help. You're not in this alone, and you can actually implement these changes, and these changes do take time. You have to be patient and compassionate with yourself. Take time and even reflect on the past 3 weeks with the conversations we've been having. Have you noticed that you've become more aware of your stressors? Have you noticed you've become more aware of the things that help you? Have you noticed the impact stress has had on you? You know, these are just through dialogue. Like, imagine you're implementing ongoing support and actually changing these things. It's great to have information. Oh, that's a great 3 weeks of workshops. I've learned a lot. This is wonderful. Yep, good perspective, Laura. Yeah, but are you going to change anything? Are you just going to keep going in the direction that you're going? And isn't that the definition of insanity? To expect change by doing the same thing over and over again? So if you want to change your circumstances, you need to change something within you and within your life in order to develop and experience different circumstances. So reach out for help. Of course, I'm going to offer help to you, individual sessions or ongoing support or classes. I'm offering a free class Monday nights. You're more than welcome to jump in on that. It's 7 o'clock on Mondays. It's like a mini workshop with a meditation. Of course, I'm going to offer that for you. But, you know, maybe I'm not your person, and that's okay, but ask for help. You know, it's so amazing that your company, your organization is implementing this support, and it sounds like they're going to have another announcement on Monday of how they're going to implement health and wellness. Like, that's huge. Not all companies are doing that, you know, and so it just shows an element of, hey, we know this is stressful and we care. And it doesn't have to even be your company. You can go to other supports outside of your company to implement whatever it is in the direction you want to go. Everybody needs, you know, if you're going to get good at basketball, get a basketball coach, or if you want to get good at soccer, get a soccer coach, whatever it is, but implement it. Make that a priority. It's easy to spend money on shoes or this, that, the other thing, and then want change in our life. But take that money and put it towards actually changing and bringing support and wellness into your life. So before I finish, I do want to give everybody an opportunity to ask any questions, and you can unmute yourself or you can go in the chat. and share. If you have any questions from any of the weeks or even just today, you're more than welcome to toss something in there. I've really appreciated those of you who have filled out the feedback form. That was really helpful in terms of seeing the direction in which you wanted to learn more about. And of course, you should still have the link to that feedback form. I welcome you to still fill that out if you haven't yet. It'd be really helpful for future workshops. I love hearing from people. It's been actually a challenge for me doing this particular workshop because I'm used to so much more engagement. Like if I was in person with everybody in one room, it'd be fun to kind of engage a little bit more, but I know that it's just different times. So I'm just kind of rambling here to give you an opportunity to type in the chat box or unmute yourself if you have any questions. I know sometimes it's a lot of information at once and you need time to digest it and think about it, but think about it. Most importantly, think about what it is that you want. It's really easy to focus on what you don't want. No, I don't want this and I don't want that and this has been really stressful and I don't want any more of this. But what do you want? Take these winter months to really focus on what is it that you want to create in your life. And don't think that the circumstances of COVID or the way our work situation is or any of these elements can bring you down. Yeah, of course it brings us down in some way, but you don't have to stay down. Step back into your power. Use your brain and your body to align to what it is you want to create. So keeping an eye on those gauges is really important. Okay, so in terms of service, someone just asked, can you review some of the services that you offer? So I do have a variety of different services. There's psychotherapy one-on-one. You can just come for one session, or I do packages where it's an ongoing support. And that is really, really helpful because you can really focus on a certain area of your life, whether it's nutrition and health, whether it's mental, emotional support. Some people focus on relationships or parenting, whatever area of your life that you need some support in, you can dedicate that package towards that. So 5-week program where you can connect either weekly or bi-weekly and get that support and move towards something that you want to create. I also do virtual classes online right now. Every Monday at 7, there's something called Me Monday, and it's a mini workshop followed by a meditation. And then I've been doing other online classes, different meditation classes, different workshops. I just finished a winter bundle of, a group online class where you focus on what it is you want to spend the winter months on. So the next time I do one of those will probably be maybe in December, but likely in January, focusing on ongoing support for the, intentions of the new year. There is a class called Living Joy that's coming up in December. It's on December 19th. And this is an amazing class. It really focuses on the keys to joy and how to bring that joy into your life in all the areas of your life. So that's something to consider too. I do obviously the psychotherapy, but I also do energy work. So if that's an area that you'd like to explore, that's an option as well. And it's amazing how addressing the energy side of things can really help the mental, emotional, and even physical blocks that we tend to have. So those are some services that you can explore both online and in person right now. Of course, with the in-person classes, they have to be small groups, social distancing and all of the things. So putting in place the COVID protocol. And it looks like one of the messages here is Lisa Moore is the best person to contact in case you have Tecsar health and wellness benefits you'd like to explore, financial coverage. So yeah, all the psychotherapy sessions that I do fall under benefits. I can write you guys receipts and that can be covered for you if that's something you want to implement. Okay, if there's any other questions, I think we've passed on my information in multiple ways, and you are more than welcome to reach out at any time. I have a website, royalartshealingacademy.com, and you can fill out the feedback form, and within the feedback form, there's an option for you to receive a free consultation and explore any area that you would like. It could be work related, it could be family related, it could be health related. It's completely up to you. But it really has been a pleasure to share some of these pieces with you. Of course, breathe is one of my biggest takeaways, and making health a priority is a huge takeaway. Health is not going to create itself. We have to put energy towards that. And you please remember that you are in control, that you've got this, that you can conquer whatever you set your mind to. So even if you're in that dark hole, you do not need to stay there. I completely have compassion and understand the dark hole, but there are ways out. And part of that is reaching out for support. So please, please, please reach out for supports and ask for help, whether it's, you know, through me and my supports. Of course, I'd love to serve you, but there's so many different services in Sarnia and online that you can explore. So make sure you give that gift to yourself. It's been an honor to share this time with you. It's been an honor to work with your company. I hope that everyone enjoys the next coming months and implements some of these tools and techniques. They're very, very needed. And once you've got it, you can definitely pass it on to family members and people in your world, because it becomes a part of your lifestyle. It really does. And it's possible to shift your way of thinking. And sometimes you just need someone outside of you to remind you of these things. You know, I know it's all over the place. If you're looking for it, you can find it everywhere. But actually making that change is the biggest piece. Actually implementing the daily practice, building that ability to shift that neural pathway to create these habits in your life. And then it becomes part of your life, becomes part of your lifestyle, becomes part of who you are. And then eventually you're manifesting and creating exactly what you want. But it takes time to learn that skill and that ability. But please, please, please hold on to the gentle reminder of hope and the reminder that you've got this, that you are going to get through these challenges and thrive instead of, you know, just try to survive through everything. And that is what it means to conquer that stress response, is to interrupt that stress response so that you are implementing your brain and body to its fullest potential and creating what you want in your life. So again, thank you everybody for listening, for tuning in. For those of you who are on live and for later, it's been a pleasure. Reach out if you have any questions beyond today. And if anything comes even from weeks from now, it's an open door. Thanks again, and take gentle care of yourselves. Much love.